Welcome to the Drivable Podcast, where we discuss all things about driving and safer community transport for people with disabilities and medical conditions. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe to our channel and follow us on our socials, Drivable_podcast. We're all over every single channel and we have heaps of content and interviews now online. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you go back and listen to some of our older episodes. There's heaps of gold there, great stories, great lessons. And great little anecdotes for you to listen to and learn from. So yeah, get out there and listen to it.
Yeah, and g'day Ali. This one today is going to be another awesome episode. The amount of excitement that came from this video that went out on our social pages was just huge. So today we're interviewing Thyesha. Ty has a condition that impacts on her, all four of her limbs really, but it really impacts on her arms and prevents her from using her hands on the steering wheel in the normal fashion. So Ty is on the journey of gaining her license. She actually hasn't got her license yet. So we're going to go through with her those first stages, and we'll probably check in with Ty at different times during her process. So this is an exciting one to understand the nitty-gritties about the actual starting process when you've got a unique disability, and learn about what she's been through to get to the point that she's at the moment. So as she progresses, we'll probably get her back on and learn about the next stage. So Ali, you ready for this one? I'm really excited. This should be really exciting.
Yeah, actually this will be really good, especially if you're a therapist from the industry. You probably want to pay close attention because it's I guess this is a new job, if you'd like, a start of something with somebody. So we can really get right into it and understand what's going on. So
yeah, should we invite her on?
Let's get her on.
Let's get her on.
Driving is something many take for granted, but when someone has altered ability, then driving or getting out and about in your own car can be challenging. Driving with a disability doesn't mean you have to drive an old clapped out car with farm-like machinery, and relying on a wheelchair doesn't mean waiting for hours and then being in the back of a maxi access cab getting car sick. The Drivable Podcast is designed to introduce and explore driving aids for people with disabilities, vehicle modifications, the NDIS, research, medical guidelines, driving techniques, and much, much more. The Drivable Podcast is to help you be informed and be in control of your own independence so you can experience freedom through driving safely and reliably. I'm Ali, and with me is Brad, and together we have over 30 years of experience in disability and driving. Enough of the intros, let's get into it.
Okay, in this episode, everybody, we are talking to Thyesha. Ty, how you going?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Ty, the first question we ask all of the people that we interview is to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your disability so people understand where we're coming from.
I'm Ty. I'm 16 and I have arthrogryposis, which just means that some of my muscles don't form properly in my body. Mm-hmm. So for me, my arms don't work.
So the arms don't work, and does it impact on? So the muscles in your arms basically aren't functioning at all?
They're just not there. There's none.
There's none in there. Yeah. And what about the legs? So the legs as well, they're affected a little bit as well?
Yeah, I had clumped over feet when I was born. So that means they're kind of like ballerina feet when they're dancing. And I had to get a surgery to fix my feet.
You've had a couple of surgeries, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've been through a fair bit in regards.
Has it all been since you were born, or did you have like an accident or something? How does it?
Since I was born, yeah.
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 So
yeah. And so you're 16, and how have you got to the point of seriously considering driving? How's it got to this point? I mean, we want to know what went through your head. You said that the muscles haven't formed in your arms and your arms basically don't work. There's a thing called a steering wheel in a car. Yeah. How have it got to the point that you wanted to give driving a go? How did you get to this point?
Well, I've always thought about driving because everyone around me drives and it's, pretty cool. And my parents just told me that if I wanted to, I can. Like, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you think you were going to drive?
I thought maybe like a little steering wheel down the bottom, which is sort of what I've ended up with, but not really. A bit safer.
Little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's I know Ty. I've met Ty and I've seen her drive. Can you explain the process that you've been through up until this point? Because you actually haven't got to the end point yet. You've got to a point where you're part way through. What process have you been through so far?
I went through the process of trying to find someone to actually be able to make this happen for me. That happened. And then we've had to go through, what's it called? Like a fitting or something to see if I can do it and see if it is possible.
Trying it out, basically.
Yeah, just to see if my legs will bend far enough.
Yep. So you've been through the assessment process to start off with an occupational therapist, and what was that feeling like, that first time that you sat down with an OT to try and explore what might have been out there?
It was a little bit scary because I didn't know what was going to happen, but all good news at the end. I could do it. There was a bit of complications, but we worked through them, and yeah.
And so you're saying that you, sorry, Brad, you're saying that you had this since you were born, basically. So do you have siblings?
Yeah, I do.
How many?
There's 5 of us, so 4.
And are you the only one with a any kind of condition?
Yeah.
And are you like what's the where do you fit in? Oldest, youngest, middle?
I'm the oldest.
Oldest? Okay.
Yeah.
So how are your like siblings with you and all of that stuff? Is they supportive? Is it a good environment there?
Yeah, they're good. They help me out a lot. They inspire me to do best. I like inspiring them to do as much as they can.
And you were saying that you're 16, so you're obviously sort of in the very, as Brad was saying, the early stages of driving. When did you like think about being, like when you said consider driving, like is it because other people in your school have been driving? You said like other people, and like was it when you were 15 or were you like 10 or 12, or when was it when you thought, I wouldn't mind driving, or was it just because other people at school are starting to do it now?
Yeah, I think it was more other people in my school were getting their learners and stuff, and I was like, I want to do that.
And you go to like just an everyday school, not like a special school or something?
Yeah, everyday school.
Yeah. Okay. So it's would you say that being in that environment around those people like that are more able-bodied, that are doing these things, is encouraging you to give it a go, you reckon?
Yeah. Well, I like prove them wrong. They all tell me I can't do it, so.
So you got a bit of that attitude as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show them I can do it.
It's good. I mean, that chip sometimes, I've got a little bit of that sometimes, because when I was in school, I had some people tell me that I couldn't do things, and then that kind of, that little thing can give you a good drive,
Yeah, it can.
So how does it feel like now with your friends? Does it feel...
Yeah. They didn't think I could do it, and I'm like, well, I can. I'll show you some videos, and they're like, oh my god, that's really cool.
Yep. And and you showed them videos of you driving?
Yeah, I did.
Are you happy if we share the videos with this podcast as well, to show other people how you're actually driving?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. It's like I said in the introduction, your videos of you getting out and about created quite a lot of interest. And I don't know if you know this or not, but because of those videos, you're inspiring other people. So we thank you for being open and sharing like this, because what it can do is really highlight what's out there for other people, because other people sometimes don't have the awareness. So it's really good.
So do you have your learner's license?
Yeah, I do.
And in South Australia, you're in South Australia, yes?
Yeah.
In South Australia, is the learner's license. So the reason why I'm asking this is in New South Wales, a learner's license is just a knowledge test. So you basically just do a test on a computer and then you get your learner's license. Is that the same in South Australia?
Yeah, we did ours on paper though.
Yep. And so did you do that before you even did any trying of anything, any cars? So you went and got that first?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then after you got that, like when you went and got that, did you have any ideas of like what kind of products or anything like that? Or you first were like, I'm going to get this and then, start looking out and about? How was the process?
Yeah, I was more, let's pass my test and then see if I can do it.
So you're currently on your L's, and does that mean that you basically have to do X number of hours or whatever it is before you can get your P's? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's a little bit different to New South Wales. In South Australia, we've got less hours to do, and we don't have the same process of when you're with a driving instructor, it counts for more. It's just a straight out number of how many hours you have to do. Ty's in a bit of a different situation because, Ty, you're not in Adelaide itself either, are you?
No.
You're a little bit further away than Adelaide, about 6 hours north. Is that about right?
Yeah. Yep. Long time away.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are you?
Roxby Downs.
Roxby Downs, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of South Australia, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, is it not very busy? Does it make it, make it easier to drive around?
Well, I can't drive up here because I don't have a van, so.
Oh yeah, you just drive.
Yeah.
But Ty, you had to come down to Adelaide to do the assessment process. What was it like that first time that you jumped in the car, doing that in Adelaide, where it's completely different? How many people are in Roxby, first of all?
I think total we have 4,000.
Yep, 4,000. And then you come to Adelaide and we've got close to 2 million. What did you think it was going to be like driving in Adelaide for the first time?
Scary. It was really scary, but it kind of like just went out I didn't think about it.
Yep.
I just focused on driving, so I didn't crash.
Good plan. Yeah, that's a good thing not to crash. Talk through that actual practical driving assessment. What steps did you go through, and where have we got up to so far?
So we first did the joystick version of the steering and the go and brake. That was a bit harder. And then we changed it to just steering with my foot and doing the pedals as normal. And yeah, that was easier.
So that joystick one, which is actually pretty exciting and pretty new to Australia, what it is it's like a power wheelchair, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's literally a joystick like a power wheelchair.
Yeah, it is.
But it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's opposite. So going back is going forwards and going forward is brake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's a bit.
Yeah, so in your wheelchair, it's the opposite to that. And
so
the other
more
thing
like a hand control then.
It is. Yep. Pushing forward is for braking. Yep.
Yeah.
And pulling back is for accelerating. But unlike your wheelchair, when you let go of your controller, your wheelchair basically comes to a stop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it kept going, and I kept doing it because I was expecting it to stop, and it just wouldn't stop. I was like,
Because when you pull back on your wheelchair, it goes into reverse, doesn't it?
When I lift my foot off, it just immediately stops. Like
pulling back goes into reverse. So it takes a little bit of a different mindset, doesn't it, to figure it all out?
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Did you have to have any special permission in the learner stage to be doing these trials? Like we've spoken about the licensing restrictions in this podcast about people that have got full licenses, but what about as a learner? Like, what was there any issues around getting the learner's license?
I needed a certificate, I think it was, from an OT to say I could drive, and I had to go to my doctor as well to get him to sign it, so he could say I was fully able to drive.
And then you got that, and now you've been basically trying all these things. Was there any other hurdles in terms of the licensing other than that?
I don't think so. I did have to get my eyes checked as well, just in case. Yeah, I just had to get lots of checkups, really.
So that letter from the OT, was that the same OT that you've been using along the way, or was it just an initial OT? Was it different?
That was the same OT I've been using the whole way.
And then with that respect, in terms of, I guess, trying different products and so on, have you found any hurdles around that and access to the products, especially being where you are?
Sort of, yeah. Well, there's nothing in Roxby, so everything is in Adelaide, so you have to go there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this means that you're when did you get your learner's license?
Around my birthday, I think August last year.
And what's the plan for going to that next stage? What do you reckon in terms of timeline?
I have to get a car first, and then it has to go through all the modifications, and we have to just check up on everything that we don't have answers for yet and see if we can find ways to do it. Okay. And then, yeah, I can start driving.
So with the car, well, I guess before we go to the car, based on these trials that you guys have been talking about, have you come up, excuse me, have you come up with a bit of an idea of what you're going to get?
I think I have to get a Volkswagen so I'm able to drive into the car, into the driver's seat for my chair.
But you already know that you already have decided the products, basically. So you've done the assessment on the products, you're happy with the products, and now you basically the next step is getting a car. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So how are we going about getting a car? How does that work for you guys?
Ty, you're 16, yeah? So what, and you need to get a fairly expensive car.
Yeah, that car is going to probably cost you, even pre modifications, 40 to 60 grand, right?
Yeah, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
How does that look for you as a 16-year-old who's still at school?
Oh, I'm a bit stressed about it. Mum says she's going to try and help, but I think it's going to take a little while to save up for it, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you work?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What do you do?
I work in the library. I'm a duty assistant.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just want to go back a little bit because I want to ask this question. What was the conversation like with your doctor when you went to get the medical certificate completed?
Well, he told me, he's like, I know you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. So he wrote in there, I can do it. And he just looked at me, he's like, good job.
Fantastic. Because
it sounds like you've had some good positivity along the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we know some other doctors that wouldn't have that same positivity. They, I was up seeing somebody last week and the doctor was saying, no, I just can't sign this off. What would happen to my indemnity if you had an accident? And she said she wouldn't be able to live with it. So there's different opinions out there, that's for sure. And it's really good that you've had a doctor that's open-minded.
Yeah.
Did you have any challenges along the way in terms of people that were not helpful, or departments, or like what were the issues you can think of?
None that I can really think of. I guess it's more of the negative energy from people who I'm either close to or that in the environment, like in my town. Some people don't think I can do it. And but I've overcome that, and my parents and family have stuck by me.
Yeah, that's a strong theme there as well. So actually, I want to understand a little bit more about the smaller town concept, I guess, because being in a smaller town, does everyone basically know everybody in that town? Yeah. And then are there many other disabled people in that town? And like, what does it feel like to be like a disabled person in that town?
Well, I'm the only disabled teenager in this town, so everyone knows who I am. Yeah. People I don't even know who I am. So yeah.
And how does that feel sometimes? Is it good, bad, indifferent?
It's bad because I don't really have anyone to relate to, and everyone's able-bodied here, and I guess I'm just by myself, sort of.
Yeah. So it can feel a bit isolating sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you connect with other people on socials then?
No, I know one more person in Sydney. We talk to each other a little bit, and she's actually wants to do this as well, get her license. I've
Oh, yeah.
inspired her to do that too.
You've
that's
inspired
really
her as well.
Yeah, we have the same condition.
Yep.
Yeah, but she can use her arms.
Okay, but not her legs, is it? Or is it something yeah, righto. Okay. Well, can I just break it down for people a little bit more? Like I said, I know Ty, and Ty uses a power wheelchair because of the function in her legs to be able to. You need that to walk those longer distances. That's right.
Mhm.
So we actually needed to consider getting that wheelchair into the van as well. How are you going to do that? Are you going to climb into the driver's seat, or are you going to do it in a different way, Ty?
We have a ramp coming out the side that I'm going to press buttons for on my wheelchair.
Mhm.
And it comes down, I drive in, and then I drive in to the driver's seat, and it locks my chair in for me.
Yep.
So I can do it myself.
Into a docking
So
station.
is that the vehicle is going to have a lowered floor?
Yeah.
Do you know who's like who would be doing that conversion?
I'm not too sure yet.
Yeah, it's right in the early stages, isn't it, Ty? It's all still in the assessment process stage. We're certainly going through figuring out who the best suppliers are and applying to NDIS. We've still got to get NDIS to say yes to these type of modifications as well, don't we?
Yeah. Okay. So you're still right in the middle of the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exciting. And so what are your kind of ideas or ambitions around driving? Like what do you see yourself doing, or how do you see your life playing out being a driver?
I reckon I can do it. I reckon I'll be able to drive down to Roxby when I move to see my parents and stuff. Drive my friends around, you know.
So when you say when you move, are you planning to move somewhere?
Yeah, I really want to live in Adelaide for university.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that if you have a car, you can get to Adelaide, get back to Roxby, you can basically have a bit more independence.
Yeah, and drive around town in Adelaide as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And
That's
what's your work ambitions, Ty?
My work ambitions.
What do you want to be when you grow up? In other words,
I want to be a lawyer.
you want to be a
Oh,
lawyer?
wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's really cool. I mean, I was actually telling my wife the other day, weirdly enough, I've been thinking about it in the last year or so, and I actually wouldn't mind being a lawyer myself, actually. So might see you in the university, you know? You never know.
Yeah, you might. University of Adelaide, I'll be there.
I've been thinking about it. It's only because I've had a lawyer for the last year on a legal case, and I'm like, man, these guys suck. You know, I could be so much better than them. So
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Lawyer is cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
Well, both of you, we've got an interview coming up in the next couple of episodes with Nat Wade, who's the head lawyer of Equity Lawyers. So you'll have to tune into that episode. And she's somebody with a significant disability and has started her own law firm. So we're super excited to have a chat with her in the next couple of episodes. So you have to tune into that one, Ty.
Yeah, I will.
And Ali, you might have to tune in too, mate.
Definitely. Just to clarify then, where are you at in the NDIS process? So you've applied, they've accepted your condition, is that right?
I actually don't know any of these NDI questions because my mum does it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I still haven't got to doing my own NDIS yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. As long as you're going through that process, that's all that matters. So.
Yeah.
We understand that mums are hugely important, or parents are hugely important, as we've come to do this podcast. Mums are extremely supportive and do a lot for the people that we interview. And your mum's no different. She's helping you out a fair bit in regards to your NDIS plan, driving you up and back to Adelaide. What was it like when she saw you drive, how did she react?
I think she was a bit scared to start off with, but she got the hang of it. She said it was really good and she was proud of me and she got really excited. Like
Yeah.
really excited.
Do you think that maybe she was a little bit apprehensive to start off with, that maybe there wasn't a solution, but then when she actually saw you do it, maybe that changed?
No, I think she's always known that I could do it. She just didn't know how it was going to work and what I would need and how much it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to post the videos of you driving in that first initial assessment process, so people can see what it was like to be actually go out and about. And we have to do a shout out to the Total Ability crew. The Total Ability crew have the modified vans. We don't, in South Australia here in Adelaide, we don't have anybody doing that high-end controls, or don't have that stuff available. It's mainly in Sydney and Melbourne that these things are available. So a massive shout out to the Total Ability crew for coming over and being available to do assessments here in Adelaide. Otherwise, Ty, it was packing you up on a plane and traveling to Sydney. And with the year that we've had so far, that may have been quite difficult with coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Nick's interview from a little while ago, Nick Tiago,
Yep.
He went through this process a few years ago before that Total Ability van was floating around. So he had to fly through to Sydney, and he had such a bloody, muck around, then down to Victoria and up to, all over the place. So at least you don't have to do that. It's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah. So the process now for you, Ty, is that we need to figure out some little bits and pieces about that wheelchair and getting it into the right place and figuring those bits out. But then we have to apply to NDIS to actually fund all of the bits and pieces you need. And that's going to involve the van, or not the funding of the van, but everything involved with inside the van, the lowering of the floor, the docking station for the wheelchair, the driving controls to be placed down where your feet are, which makes the steering wheel spin in front of you. The other thing that we might want to just talk about really quickly is when Ali and I drive, we use our hands to do secondary controls like indicator, horn, windscreen wipers, putting windows up and down, those type of things. How are you going to do that, Ty?
That's all going to be voice activated. So I'll just say put driver's window down or turn left.
Mm-hmm. And the indicator goes on for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's like talking into a microphone.
Exactly like that.
Yep. And what was it like when you got to play with this kind of technology?
It was fun, a bit tricky at first because I didn't really know my voice. It didn't really catch me. So when I was driving, it was loud because the van's loud. And then sometimes it just wouldn't turn on. And I was just turning without indicators on.
But you got the hang of it in the end?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I think I've had a go of it before, and Australians, we kind of mumble and slur our words a little bit, and I think we need to be a little bit more prim and proper when we talk, and then it picks us up a little bit better. So you're going to have to work on your posh accent.
I'm going to have to. Yeah.
Very good. What are you most looking forward to next in the process? What's the thing that's what's the bit that's going to excite you next, do you think?
Driving by myself, I guess. Getting my P's and being able to drive by myself and fully independent.
Well, let's just touch base on that for a little bit. Most people, when they're on their L's, get to go in somebody else's car, don't they? To be able to learn how to drive, whether it's a parent's car or the driving instructor's car. in your case, we can't do it that way, can we?
No, I need my own car.
So we need to outlay for everything with the hope that you're going to get those P's, yeah, and get that independence. So it's a little bit of a different process, and it's something that has to be proven to the NDIS that it's a worthwhile investment. And that's tricky when you've only done a couple of hours of driving.
It is a little bit tricky, yeah.
How many hours have you done in total? Can you remember?
6.
6 hours.
6 hours.
I've got to prove to the NDIS that it's worthwhile based on 6 hours. So the best thing about it is what the first couple of hours, where was your first couple of hours conducted?
In the Flinders car park.
Flinders car park. What stage did you get to?
Out on Marion Road during traffic hour as well.
So for people that don't know Adelaide, that's probably probably up there as one of the top 5 busiest roads in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And you pulled out in peak hour traffic?
I did. I didn't crash anything.
No.
You got to master that and then come to Sydney.
Yeah.
I can't even drive in Sydney. So don't push yourself, Ty.
Yeah.
No, Ty, it's been wonderful to chat with you. We'll probably get you on at a later stage if you agree to it, to talk about the next stage in the process and where you're up to, especially that learner stage, actually being in the car and learning all the bits and pieces that you have to do. How do you think you'll go with a reverse parallel park?
Well, I do enjoy doing them in my wheelchair, but I don't know. It might be a bit harder.
It's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, just a little bit.
The best thing about it,
you got the general gist of it, so.
Yeah, I know how to maneuver it.
Yeah. I'm super excited for you. I think you'll be able to master it really quickly. Hey, we always finish an interview with one final question. Now, we know that you're not an active driver at the moment, but we always ask our interviewees this final question. What's one thing that you've done in a car? You don't have to be the driver, but what's one thing that you've done in your car that might be a little bit unique or a little bit different, probably as a passenger with mum and dad or something like that, that is a little bit more unique to you that other people mightn't know about?
I'm not too sure actually. Getting in and out of the car, we do that uniquely.
How do you do that?
Yeah, my dad lifts me in. He throws my legs in.
Yeah.
Throws me in. That's unique, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, well, that's actually what I was thinking. I was thinking you guys would have some pretty unique ways of probably having got in the car and gotten in and out of the car with all the different family members as well. So they're probably not as forgiving as your parents, your siblings. So,
Yeah, no.
Hey, Ty, if people wanted to find out a little bit more about the process that you've been through, is there a way that they could connect with you? Are you on socials?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. My email is hackboythyesha@gmail.com.
Say that again.
hackboythyesha@gmail.com.
No worries. Well, we might put a link to that in the show notes. And where can what's the best social page that they can maybe connect to you on as well?
Probably Facebook, because it's not as busy.
Yep. And we'll put the link to that on this page as well, if you're okay with all of that. And what we'll do is say thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on. I know that it's early on in the stages for you, so I understand that it can be a little bit difficult to do an interview like this. So we thank you very much to take the time, especially seeing you're in school holidays and you probably could be doing something a little bit more exciting. But thanks very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to understand what the next step is in the process.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much, Ty. It was
Thank
really
you.
good. All right. Cheers. See ya.
All right.
Bye.
All right, that's it for chatting with Thyesha. We thank her very much for coming on board and sharing her story. She was a very nervous, and we thank her very much for coming on and chatting through the process that she's undertaken so far. Ali, what was your biggest takeaway from this part of her journey so far?
Yeah. Well, first off, I'll say thanks to Thyesha as well. And I thought, yeah, she was a bit nervous, but I think she's got a lot of potential there for a girl being 16 and with all these big ideas and great attitudes. So big ups to her and huge shout out. Big takeaway for me. One of the biggest ones, to be honest, was around, I mean, it's kind of is along the theme of what we talk about with this episode, is about getting trials. And it was around resources and having those resources out there for people to try. And the fact that, we mentioned that Total Ability van, just having those resources in the industry being out there, to me was the biggest takeaway, because I guess, as I mentioned in the interview, when I was thinking of her story compared to Nick Tiago's, who had to go for a similar kind of thing, I mean, excuse the French, but the shit he had to go through just to get into a freaking car and sit in it, flying across the country and all that, just to sit in it, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, so to me, that resource being around the country is a huge step forward in getting access for independence. So that was a huge takeaway for me. I thought it was really, like big stark, I guess, difference.
I absolutely 100% agree with that. It's certainly changed the way that I work as an OT for these high-end assessments that are required, and it's not here all the time in South Australia. It's maybe a little bit more frequently available in New South Wales where you are, but it does come, well, when COVID's not a problem, it does come to South Australia probably 2 to 3 times a year. I think it's a 3-month break between the periods of when we can actually do it for Thyesha, I believe. But it's certainly made a massive difference to the logistics. Getting on an aeroplane is not always that easy for people with disabilities when they've got to consider wheelchairs and bits and pieces like that as well. Getting into a wheelchair that can go up and down the aisle, as an example, can be difficult when you've got to transfer from your power wheelchair when transfers are difficult. So
that's just the
makes
logistics.
A massive difference.
Like what I'm getting at is just even having like a therapist that would be willing to do that is probably unlikely. You know what I mean? This is sort of the point that I'm trying to make is it's a thing which I harp on a lot about within this industry. People kind of get set in their ways, I guess, and with their preferred products or preferred conversions or whatever's easier because it's accessible. I dare say that the majority of therapists, I mean, it may ruffle some feathers, but if majority of therapists that Thyesha would have gone to, she probably would have ended up with like a wheelchair accessible vehicle and stuck in the back, because that's just, what people say, that's what you should do, because they know that's easy and they know that there's a lot of them around that you can try, but that's not the best thing for that person. The best thing is having those resources and trying everything out to figure out what is the best thing, this girl here, perfect example, is confident driving with a joystick in a wheelchair. So a lot of people would look at that and go, oh, yeah, we'll just give you a joystick for a car and everything will be fine. And if you struggled with it, what they might do, or most likely to go, well, hey, just keep practicing and figuring it out, make compromises. But I don't like that. I think the fact that you can try different things and so on, she's ended up having to steer with the feet, which is cool.
Yeah, we had a shocking story the other day where somebody came to us who said, no, they're not going to do that assessment because they're not confident that it's going to be approved. And it's just so limiting in regards to the person's life. Look, we've got to try to get the best possible product to promote the most amount of independence wherever possible from my point of view. And if it doesn't get approved, then we can try and answer the questions of why it doesn't get approved, rather than just blatantly saying right at the start, no, I'm not going to do that because, the way that it came up is the person has to reach a quota of how many things get approved in their business, and that's just not on. That's just not on.
Yeah, we're starting to get that as it's unfortunate, but as the NDIS becomes bigger and more corporatized, you're going to start seeing those kind of key performance figures and things like that, and targets. But it's also not in the I guess in the spirit of what NDIS is about. It's about choice and control of that end user. So it's look, the best example is looking at all of our previous episodes and interviews. People have had the most amount of success where they have had that true choice and control. Like a highlight that comes straight to my head is Dee, right? And Leanne, one of the first interviews, they did fight for everything that they believed in, and they fought, nail and tooth and all of that. But as she said, she was very confident they're giving back a lot more money into the community based on what they're taking. Just with all the stuff that they're doing, and she explained it all in that episode, and that's what it's about. Get success, and then the products get used properly, and the community gets access and thrives. Just prescribe something, and it won't get used. Like we see it every day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many people that have products just sitting at home, not being used, because it was prescribed, but maybe not prescribed appropriately to really meet their needs. So yeah, it happens all the time, and it's something that we want people. We say it in every episode, don't we? Go out and have a trial. Really get to know stuff, and have a real good play with the product, so you know what you're getting yourself in for, and try to see what it's going to be like in your life. Is it going to work every day for you?
Yeah, and another sort of big takeaway I took from there, which I was mentioning to you just before we started, is this podcast, as I said, is really inspiring me as well, and actually giving me a lot of inspiration, a lot of personal development. And one thing which I really love seeing in our guests, especially in some of them, is that real can-do attitude, that real I can do it. No one can tell me what to do. I'm the master of my own domain, and I really love that. And Thyesha was definitely very strong in that element, and it's really cool to see, especially for someone that's female in a small town, the only disabled teenager, all of those things. It's pretty tough to be dealing with that, and to have that can-do attitude amongst all of that adversity. That was awesome. That was really inspiring.
Yeah. Stick it up them attitude. I think that's really Australian as well. Negative energy that she's getting from her friends saying that she won't be able to do it, and she just wants to prove them wrong.
So I love that. That was pretty cool. What about you, Brad? Any other takeaways for yourself?
Well, I have no doubt that she will become a lawyer, and she will serve the community really well. She's got one of those attitudes that we were just talking about, and she'll stick it up her friends to say, oh, look, I can drive. I think she'll take that attitude into being a lawyer and really fight for people's cases as well. And like we said, it to her is that we've got a interview with Natalie Wade coming up from Equity Lawyers in the next couple of episodes, and then somebody else I'm really looking forward to that interview as well. That the total ability van is the big thing for me. If you want to get in contact with Total Ability to find out how that van's used, you can check them out on their website. We'll put the link in the show notes, and go and have a look at some of the products that they've got available. But if you want to find out when the van's coming around Australia to maybe see you, they've actually got 3 vans now. So there's a little bit more choice involved in that of when it's coming and what type of products are available coming to you. So we'll put the link to their website in the show notes. Yeah.
Well, I'm finding that in general, all of the suppliers, more products are out there on the market, more trial products. And I guess the other thing I want to empower the community is if you want to try something out and it's not around where you are, demand it, ask for it, and if a company is really that interested in your business, they'll make it happen. That's the challenge. That's the challenge I give our team all the time, is if we really are genuine about helping someone, we'll get out there and make it happen, in some way, shape or form. So, and I always encourage the community out there, ask. If you don't ask, you won't know. But yeah, to say, hey, I want to try this out. Can you bring it to me? You never know. It may not happen tomorrow, but in the next month or 2 or 3 or whatever, as Brad said, these cars do float around a lot more now.
Yeah, so, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we've mentioned in previous episodes, there's a lot more on the market now in regards to NDIS. There's a lot more competition out there as well. So there's a lot more people out there wanting to please you if you're a client, to try and get in front of you and to win your business, which means that there's a little bit more competition out there. And I think in the long run, that means there's a benefit for you as the end user. There's more than one thing to try nowadays.
That's it.
All right, should we wind it up there?
Let's wind it up.
All right. As we say in every episode, everybody, if you have any queries about what you can do and what will work for you, get in touch with your local OT or mobility dealer and set yourself up with the trials. It's proven itself again. Trials really do put yourself in the driver's seat. Until the next episode, Ali, thanks very much and see you soon.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Drivable Podcast with Brad Williams and Ali Akbarian. If you like what you've heard, make sure you like, rate and subscribe. It really does make a massive difference. If you or anyone you know would like to share a story about driving with a disability, or you would like to get in contact, find the show notes, or find the resources mentioned in this episode, you can find us on Facebook. Just search @Drivable Podcast for more information.